How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and explore the third map in the game called Institute. Well, I'm counting it as a third map, so obviously the first map, Crossroads, I'm counting Heartlands as the second map. Yeah, and then this one, Institute, which is, yeah, that one. I'm starting off on Crossroads, and I'm using the gateway from Crossroads to the Institute, because you can travel to it from the Heartlands as well, but I just kind of figured I wanted to do it this way. I'm going to travel to the trailer store first to grab a radar trailer for the Lo4f, and then kind of head to the gateway. In the end, I've edited most of this bit out because it's the Crossroads map anyway. I've kind of driven around it. It was just because the time was getting on a bit. It was getting a bit too long. Yeah, that's what she said. And yeah, so I just kind of figured I'll just skip ahead a little bit. So here I am arriving at the old trailer store. And yeah, for this one I've got Dan. Thought I'd whip him out, and he's yeah, doing alright. Damage is a bit trollish there, just reversed at like 2 miles an hour into one of them piles of crap. And deleted my truck, but there's a trailer store, so I edited it out that I got a maintenance trailer and fixed myself up. So yeah, the goddamn horse, he can still summon radar trailers even when he's in the sideboard. Not if you're packed though, but other than that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, then travelled up to the top to the gateway. So this is the sort of thumbnail for the map. That tractor looks pretty cool, to be honest, in yellow there. I'll have that in the bag pretty soon. I was tempted, I could have done the Let There Be Light mission today, like heading on my way to that 30 harvestless years, but I sort of did it yesterday on the live stream anyway, so I figured I'll get stuck into this, explore this map, and then go and find the step pike thing, whatever it's called. Yeah, so 3 watchtowers kind of dotting, zigzagging up the middle of the map. I'm going to travel to the first one, but I'm just going to quickly whip around in this yard thing and do a radar trailer just to kind of... I just wasn't sure if there's anything else around here really. Looking in the background now, there just looks like a load of forest. Probably not a whole lot of stuff. Probably wasn't the most useful of radars, but when I first get on the map it's nice to just do a radar straight away, so you kind of get a little bit of a area around the road you're starting on to see, yeah, what's going on, what's kind of either side of the road, if there's anything important. I've edited pretty much all the radar trailer bits out. I left this little bit in just to get a little quick view of the radar trailer. Yeah, just from here, like I say, you can just see where roads are branching off and what's going on. Looks like there's a bridge out there. And yeah, at the minute, like, having a trailer attached to the Lo4f, all it means is I can't pack the Lo4f at the minute. But as it's a sideboard, the Lo4f, he's pretty good at hanging on to the sideboard. You don't want to let go unless he needs to, and then he'll jump out. But that's the only thing, you have to keep switching, like hold square to switch to the next menu, and it is never ever on the right menu. Again, the frequency with which this game can select the wrong thing. Like if you've got 3 vehicles and you want to switch to one of them, it will always switch to the other vehicle. I don't know how it knows, but it does. At this point I was going to follow this main road, but I was looking now, you can sort of see the watchtower off in the distance, kind of over to the left a bit, and then yeah, it's like, yeah, it's probably just easier to go down this side road. Signs are being really trollish on this game. There's quite a few trollish things on this game as far as getting caught on stuff. Like since the update, they seem to have, I don't know if they've dialed it up on purpose or if it's just one of those things that it's kind of broke a bit and got a bit worse, and fingers crossed they'll patch it out at some point. I've got the new mud tyres on as well on Dan. There's those 3 new mud tyres. I believe I've already used the set 1 and set 2, so I've got set 3 on at the minute, which out of all of them I think I prefer the look of set 1. I don't particularly know if there's any statistical difference between all 3 of them, but I'm pretty certain when you scroll through them it says the same, like just average, you know, good, excellent, all that sort of stuff. We get a pretty vague description really. I don't know why they don't just show us the stats. Get a load of numbers with it, like it'd make it a lot easier than just being pretty vague by saying good and all that. Oh yeah, first watchtower was pretty easy to get to be fair. With the menu switch in there, it's only because I've stuck a winch onto the loaf, which in the scheme of things I don't really need to do, and I kind of don't bother soon after this. But yeah, if you don't connect a winch, then it won't keep telling you to like switch the menus. So yeah, first watchtower done. Not a whole lot going on around here, but thankfully I can kind of just freestyle my way across the hills, cut over to this road. Just see a little bridge. In fact, no, I think that bridge, it's broken in the middle, but it's a pretty small gap, so you can kind of jump over it. In a minute, I forgot at first, but I'll draw a blue line kind of around the edge of the map just to give you a bit more of an idea of like the size of the map and the amount, relatively speaking, that each watchtower is uncovering. As you can see, the dam is motoring along just fine. It'd be nice, there was a few points where it'd be nice to have one more higher gear in this advanced special gearbox. Is it, yeah, 5 gear? It'd be nice if it had 6 gears and just had 6 gear for like when you, yeah, just got your foot down on roads like this. You can see with the roads though, I don't know if it's this bit in particular, I'm kind of leaving tyre grooves as I'm driving down the road, so even though it's like a tarmac road, it really isn't, it's not like the tarmac roads on crossroads, like a proper road. This is just, yeah, one of those iffy lies. It looks like a road, but it ain't not really acting like one. It's not really like bogging me down or anything like that. This bit's probably not the best example. There was at some point when I was driving along, you could see it really clearly, like sort of digging grooves in the road. You can kind of tell now, really, it's doing a little bit more than just leaving tyre tracks. Well, there, as I was just going past that yard, that kind of, it didn't even leave tyre tracks anymore. You can see when you get back onto the rougher stuff, it's cutting into it a little bit. So far though, the map's been pretty gentle with me. So it looks like there's planks going over there. There's a few places tonight where there's like planks kind of patching over a hole, but they're not, I don't know, they're not like smooth enough, or they're just more awkward than anything. You're best off just swerving around them, because sometimes the bits of wood are sticking up and catch under your truck, and even if you hit them, you kind of like, it's a very narrow plank of wood, and if your wheel comes off, you sort of drop down between the planks and all that. So yeah, for the most part, just avoid them if you can help it. Yeah, it's already watchtower number 2. Although the 3 watchtowers don't uncover the whole map, so that's a large part of the reason why I wanted to bring a goddamn horse with a radar trailer. You can tell as well, the second watchtower was a pretty tiny like radius it uncovered compared to the first watchtower. I think this sort of radius it uncovered is even smaller than what the radar trailer does. Yeah, there's like a line around the edge of the map. It's not the actual edge, because it won't let you just go right into the corner of the map and put a waypoint. You've got to pull it in a tiny bit, but it's as near as makes no difference. You can kind of get a good idea of yeah, the size of the map. Again, it's a pretty decent size. That's what she said, of course. It's definitely not like a little map like factory grounds or anything like that. It's actually a proper bridge. Well, relatively speaking. See there, like these planks. And I just kind of floored it and hoped for the best, but yeah, they could do with neatening them up a bit. So this next bridge, that's fully, it's a bit of a big bridge, but yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be a chance of repairing that. Looks like it's a goner for life, that one. But again, I actually prefer, even if that was a bridge, I'd quite happily cut round and drive across the river like this. I quite like river driving in general, cutting across yeah, rivers and lakes and all that. It's sort of a shame sometimes when they make a certain crossing, like it just goes so ridiculously deep that you ain't getting anything through there. Whereas that one, it was going pretty good. That was a little glitch there, not on edit. I need to go off to the left now towards the third watchtower, but we've got like this yard here, so I just quickly wanted to check that out. And again, it was probably not the most valuable of places to do a radar trailer, but I wasn't sure at the time. I didn't really need it at the minute, but I was curious, like, is there going to be a fuel station or anything around? I was going to do a loop around the yard, but you can see on the top right, there's kind of like the entrance is blocked. I was looking up here, I just didn't want to do a U-turn and have the trailer kind of like, if I'm trying to reverse it and all that, sort of trying to go under the back of my truck, so I just stopped in the entrance, did a radar trailer. Yeah, it's obviously going to be some kind of mission or contract going on there, but there's no fuel station or anything like that, so which you can see there, though, it's not too bad. The radar trailer just kind of spins round to the side, and then once you reverse, it just drags along. Again, the Lo's pretty good at staying locked in the sideboard, as long as you're not like rallying flat out where you're bouncing around, then you should stay in there pretty well. And yeah, there's not a garage on this map either. I already knew that coming in, but yeah, just to let you know, I believe all the other 3 maps have, well, no, at least the first 2 have. I believe that Harvest Corp as well, the 4th map, does have a garage, although if I remember correctly, I think you have to do a couple of missions to unlock it. But either way, at least it's there. But yeah, this one, there's not. And at this point, I just suddenly got stuck pretty convincingly. Couldn't reverse, couldn't go forward or anything. I edited like 30 seconds out or whatever, but got a winch. Thankfully, there's like a dead tree on the other side. I was wondering what I got stuck on, why it wouldn't let me move, and I could sort of, yeah, there's a tree. Again, it's like tree carcasses that never disappear, even if you run over them and all that. They don't kind of phase through the map like some of them do. But they're particularly annoying this phase, I think. You get caught on them, like, so, I don't know, it seems like over the top compared to what it would do. So yeah, not a massive fan of them. Because Dan, I mean, he's got pretty decent sized tyres. It's also got the raisable suspension, got active suspension, so he's had a little lift. And that's why I brought Dan in the end. I wanted a vehicle. Obviously, I'm kind of jumping through all the different vehicles while I can, because these maps kind of allow you to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, Dan's got pretty decent fuel. Again, decent sized tyres. It's got all-wheel drive and diffs and all that, so yeah, I thought I'd be able to handle it. And so far, the impression of the map, I still quite like it, to be fair. I mean, again, so far there's certainly easier bits where you can just drop the hammer a little bit, but yeah, you got plenty of places like the river crossings, this sort of, well, this place as an example is like, even though there's plenty of water around, it's kind of a little bit of a swampy area, but it's pretty sort of even and averaged out and all that. There's another swamp I get to later that is just a complete killjoy of a swamp. Definitely not keen on going back there. Still picking up a bit of damage. And then yeah, this is the 3rd watchtower, so the last one. For watchtowers anyway. But yeah, looks like a pretty cool area of the map. I reckon I could see myself bombing around there for quite a while. It's got a decent horn, Dan has, as well. Yeah, pretty nice view. It's looking good. Other than the fact that the sun sets too quick in this phase. So you rarely get to enjoy it in like midday sun, but other than that. So now again, that watchtower is a pretty decent like radius that it covers. So that's, well, I did a radar trailer there, but yeah, this is pretty much the map that you get uncovered by the radar trailers. That's a Dom 71 that's tipped over. I assume that's going to be some kind of mission. And then I'm going to head off into the top left corner and then kind of head down the left hand side of the map, across the bottom of the map, and then back up the right hand side of the map and do me radar loaf. Never leave home without him. Saves you bacon. And where I am now, by the way, I think it's already uncovered in one of the watchtowers, but the pike, for those of you who want to know, I'll find it later on and kind of go over to it near the end of the video, but it's sort of towards the top right of the map, not quite the top right, a little bit in from that. It brings up a mission called Gift Horse, which I thought when I seen Gift Horse, I thought, oh, it must be a goddamn professional. But no, it's the yeah, it's the step part. As soon as you find it, it's kind of there. You accept the mission, and then you have to fix the step pike up. It's 521 repair points, I believe. So either bring a repair trailer, all that sort of stuff, or bring a pair of goddamn horses, and they've got enough, packing enough roof rack between them that'll soon get that one done. And then yeah, all you have to do is fix it, and then it says it's yours. So it's pretty simple, really. Looks like I was getting a bit of frame rate going on there. I didn't even really notice that when I was actually driving. Again though, it feels a bit different to the frame rate issues I had in phase 2, where even when it's dropping, somebody did say the other day in the comments, I appreciate it, I still need to reply to them, I've just been falling behind a bit, that on the PS4 I've got 30 frames a second, not 60, which makes sense to be fair. So yeah, mine's dropping like, say, to, I don't know, 15, 20 frames a second. Yeah, back on phase 2 it was sort of like 30 frames a second, but then once or twice a second it just completely stopped for a fraction of a second, but it felt a lot more stuttery. This one's just kind of generally slowing down the frame rate a bit, but for the most part I didn't really notice it all night, so it couldn't have been that bad. Looks like another farm here that we're going to have to farm at some point, although there is loads of, well, not loads, but the different farming trailers scattered over this map, so I'm not going to have to go and haul them from a different one, or do a set of missions. Well, maybe there is. I was going to say to unlock a trailer store. I've not really looked yet. And it is a nice map, but I wouldn't say there's a whole lot going on this map. But it still doesn't mean I won't enjoy driving around it and all the rest of it. But I can't remember. I don't think there was a fuel station on the whole map. I don't believe there's a trailer store, and there's not a garage. So it's one of them where you're going to kind of arrive with what you got and then do what you got to do, and sort of at some point you're either going to have to send more vehicles in to refuel and all the rest of it, or recover out of there. Yeah, so that's top left corner done, and then I'm just going to kind of start heading down this side of the map. Yeah, not a lot going on in this corner other than the farm, which I'd already kind of half uncovered anyway. I still like though that they're mixing and matching more ways to yeah, just make the terrain a bit more engageable, I think. Like even now I've had a little crash and a roll, but it's not a problem, sort of. That's kind of the nature of the game, really. It's better than just being stuck in, yeah, super mud or death mud that makes you go 1 mile an hour. I was trying to see if I could winch the loaf and just flick him back into the sideboard in one go, but what they did now is front tyre dropped and then the back one, but he's on with a winch. Counts, send it. And I edited this bit out in the end, but all I did was kind of get alongside that building, do a couple of winch points and jiggle the loaf back in the trailer, and then we're off. Like I said, you don't let go of that sideboard unless you want him to. You'll hang on in there. Yeah, a couple more farm buildings on the right, but overall, not a whole lot going on in this corner. Just looking now and thinking, oh god, I'm going to have to try and weave my way through them trees. I didn't have to in the end, because I can kind of bank round to the left, but another good reason to take a goddamn horse with you, though, because if you ever do need to go zipping off into the like a densely forested area, then yeah, Lo4f, turning of a housefly, you'll zip in and out in them trees all day long. So it's nice having the raised suspension on the Dan though, because as I've said before, but it's only got one axle on the front, so when you're bouncing around and driving along, it can, especially the fact that Dan's got a pretty fat cab head, so it does stick quite a lot of weight on the front axles, and yeah, it used to make it nosedive into the ground quite a lot, but as long as you put the active suspension on, it sort of sits tall enough where it's not really much of an issue anymore. And then when you're going through patches of boggy mud like I just did a minute ago, yeah, it doesn't really bottom out for the most part. So driving along here, just by chance I put the winch point on the other side of this river, so kind of thinking now, do I go over to the left or right? There's a bridge over there, but it's pretty safe to say that's kind of deleted and smashed up, and there wasn't really looking like there was any clear route over it, unless I kind of go really far down left or right to see if there's a shallower crossing. But I fancied my chances. I was kind of thinking, well, I'll go in, we'll see. If I just completely nosedive and it's going to go under, then at this point I was, yeah, it looks like it was about to go deeper. Again, that's definitely what she said. But I was like, sod it, drop the hammer. What could possibly go wrong with Lo4f? Lo4f had a gut feeling. It's pretty nice. I might make that thumbnail in the end. Shut up, phone. Charge the goddamn thing. Yeah, I'm going to do another radar trailer. I was like, yeah, that'll do. Close enough. I don't mind that little notch. There's not going to be a lot going on there. Oh yeah, I thought it was in the Dan. I was like, what the hell? It's got damn horse trying to make a break for it. So when I got up earlier tonight, there was I just put my PlayStation on. I was going through a bit of the footage. I'd not done this, exploring this map yet, but we had a pretty good thunder and lightning storm. I thought at some point I could see flashing outside my window, and I was like, what the hell? I thought someone was taking a picture with a flash camera. And then yeah, all the thunder and lightning started. While I was on the PlayStation, the lightning hit pretty close somewhere. All the street lights went out, and then my power went out. And then the power came back. It only went out for like 10 seconds, and then the street lights came back on, and then there was another big flash of lightning, and then the street lights went off again. But my power didn't go off the second time. But yeah, it turned my bloody PlayStation off. So when you turn it back on, it's like, this is corrupted, that's corrupted, we need to rebuild this file, check the external hard drive, all sorts of crap. That's one good thing with Dan. He can knock the trees down for the most part. I didn't really get a good hit on that one though. To be honest, I couldn't really tell at this angle with the camera, but this is more of a hill than it looks, so it was kind of making me, yeah, just lean over to the left, keep catching all the trees. This bloody tree got caught between sort of the cab and the sideboard. I mean, thankfully there is plenty of other trees around, so you've got a pretty good choice of winch points. I forgot to take the winch off there. Do a Spider-Man just swinging around the map. So again though, with all these like bumps and gouges in the ground, I quite like it. It just keeps you more engaged. You have to like, you can't just floor it, point to where you want to go and yeah, sit there watching a YouTube video or something and not really paying attention. You actually do have to kind of judge your angles a little bit, feather the throttle, check your angle of approach and all that good stuff. I lost a little bit of footage in a sec, which yeah, apologies folks, I'm not too happy about it. See again, this goddamn horse, he hangs on for dear life. He did not want to leave that sideboard. So yeah, I just edited it out to save a bit of time, but just a couple of winch points, he's back in there. So basically, what I'm about to do is cross the river, and that's what was annoying. It was like quite a good little river crossing, and yeah, basically I drove to like this winch point that I'm about to put down. I only lost, it's probably like a minute or two of driving max there. So basically I've already crossed the river, done the radar, and now I'm heading along the bottom of the map, and it's only just behind me, like the river's sort of behind me into the left. I've not really travelled very far at all. I'm still in the bottom left hand corner of the map. But yeah, I apologise for that. It's I was pretty annoyed when I realised, especially that it was that bit. It wouldn't have been so bad if it was just like a bit of driving along a road like this. But long story short, with the river crossing, there was kind of an island in the middle. It wasn't very deep at all to get over to that island, and then going across from that island to the other side of the river, it didn't quite get my snorkel, so I didn't get any engine damage or anything, but it was very close. So I remember back in the day, the Dan was one of the first vehicles I reviewed. It was like the original OG submarine truck, and yeah, did pretty good going across that river. It was a good choice to bring Dan. And you can see, even though I've done nearly a full lap of the map now really, and the fuel, it's going down, but certainly like the Dolphin would be a very good vehicle to bring for this, except the fuel will be a killer. But in its defence, and I've said this, like, and it does make a difference, now I'm travelling at full speed in the Dan, the Dolphin can go a lot quicker, and when you're in high gear, and it's an absolute punchy beast, it drops the hammer, so even though it does burn fuel quicker, you do cover some pretty decent distance in that time. And yeah, the Dolphin is pretty good at rallying across quite a lot of harsh terrains. Like even all this now in high gear, the Dolphin would eat this for breakfast. So, but I still think like Dan overall is going to be a lot quicker, sort of not quicker, sorry, like it'll pace the fuel out better really. Like I said, there's no fuel station or anything on this map. As I get along with the contracts and all the rest of it, there does appear to be, like, throughout the different contracts, quite a lot of, when you complete the mission, it's like you unlock this warehouse, that warehouse, a truck repair station, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, there might be stuff to unlock in the future, but as far as travelling around now, I mean, because I'm taking the radar trailer with me, obviously I've got that hooked to the back, but there could be certain situations where you could just get like a scout fuel trailer as well, and I'm trying to think. I suppose Bruce, I nearly did bring Bruce. I was umming and ahhing about that, and then when I seen the Dan, I was like, yeah, I'll grab that instead. But I believe, yeah, Bruce has got the 3-slot sideboard, isn't it, if I'm not mistaken, so you could pretty easily sling a scout fuel trailer in there as well. I could as well, I've done it before, and I'll do it again, goddammit. I could have put a loaf on the roof of Dan. You have to put him on a little bit of an angle because of the snorkel setup, but the loaf will fit, he finds a way. Like I said in Jurassic Park, loaf finds a way. And this really is just like a road running right along the bottom of the map. There's not a whole lot going on. I believe now this main road coming up is like where I originally started the map, so you can see just off to the top right is where the gateway is. And it is literally just like up there. There's to the right of me, that sort of factory building you seen was where I did the first radar point. So I'm just going to sort of skirt along the edges of the map to do a few radar trailers and yeah, get it a neatened up. I mean, the watchtowers do uncover like the bulk of the middle of the map, but yeah, I don't think they really touch the edges. It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. Gotta be touching them edges. And then, well, this road at the minute, it's all fine going along here. It was, again, still enjoying the map. But where I'm headed now, where the waypoint is, you can kind of see where all the water starts to appear. It's a swamp, which is fine in essence, but it's pretty much for the most part like complete death mud. And yeah, it feels a little bit over the top. It's a bit of a killer because it's one of them where there's a couple of patches of mud that do it on the other maps in this phase. It's just that it's such a you're done once you're in it kind of thing. There's no driving out of it, reversing or anything. You're just kind of doing winch points at that point. And yeah, it just doesn't. You don't really feel like you got a fight with the terrain going. It's just like, oh, this is it. This is a bad move. And yeah, the best option really is to try and winch backwards back out there and try and find a different way. But I didn't really know until I found out the hard way that it's a complete nightmare. I was already just cutting along the edge of the actual sort of solid terrain at the minute. If I was 10-20 foot over to the left, I'd probably already be stuck. And I thought at this point, because you can see, obviously there's plenty of water around, but there's little bits of land poking up, so I was kind of like, I should be alright. Got pretty tall suspension and everything with Dan, but you can see, as soon as you hit this point, I mean, I did stall in the high range there, but it just completely bogs down. It looks like I'm creeping forward a bit, and I am, but it doesn't take long until it's just completely locked in place. Thankfully, there's a fallen tree next to me. I stuck a winch to the back of Dan onto that tree, so it was kind of forcing it to pull me forward that way. And my original plan was to basically stop where that blue waypoint is and then fire off the radar trailer, but as you can see, the game had other ideas. And the fact that I keep getting caught up in these muddy sections with the new mud tyres for the most part, you'd sort of think they would have paired them a little bit with that in mind, like, you know, there might be some serious death mud areas, but we'll add some tyres that can handle it. But yeah, it doesn't really seem to be the case. So I was going to try and get to that waypoint, but I got stuck on this tree and it locked me in place like a motherfucker. So I did the radar trailer, and what I found interesting, I found an upgrade there, which obviously at that point I was like, well, I can't resist. I'm going to have to probably send in the goddamn horse. Because originally I was just going to start heading up the map, but yeah, I didn't realise there was an upgrade there. You can see this tree, I am just stuck on it. I was winching from the front of the dam, back of the dam, trying to pull myself kind of forward over it, sideways over it. It was just wedged completely. I don't know if it's like bugged and it's glitched into the chassis of the dam, but yeah, it's not too happy about it. So time for some goddamn horse action. But you can see now though, when I stick a winch on one of these trees, they just, yeah, get caught on it a bit. It's a bit over the top. I think they could do with toning it down a bit. Because it's one of them where I don't mind, like this whole swampy section, sort of like cool if it's super death mud. It's like I just won't go there again, if you know what I mean. Now I've been here, I've learnt the hard way, it's like, oh, this place sucks. So a bit of editing going on there. It took me, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 minutes of just firing winches out and slowly pulling myself along, getting caught on bloody trees and all sorts, but like I said, he's a goddamn horse. He'll get out of there. And to be fair, for the most part, I was quite happy, like, to just leave Dan and Lo4f there and go and get a different vehicle. I've got a Dolphin and Lo4f somewhere on this map. But yeah, and then just out of, I don't know, like literal professional pride. I was like, no, the horse is going to escape. Yeah, what I found interesting, the upgrade, and I was like, KZGT 8 blah blah blah, I thought that rings a bell, and it's the K700 engine. So since they did that patch, and people were saying now the K700 engine is locked, it appears that they've moved the upgrade location from Crossroads to this map, to there, in the bottom right hand corner of the Institute basically. Bottom right hand, assuming that you enter from like the what's it called, bloody Crossroads map. I keep getting those two, Crossroads and Heartlands. So yeah, now I've got to try and cross the swamp back the other way. And at this point I was quite happy to just leave the dam there, because I didn't want to keep dicking around trying to pull it off a bloody tree. Sent the loaf back in though. Go and grab the radar trailer. Oh yeah, and I poached the fuel off Dan. He doesn't mess around, he's got a job to do. Your game thought it could throw a sneaky bit of death mud in there, but Loaf's wise to these games. And yeah, that's what I would say, like, this whole section pretty much is death mud, as near as makes no difference. By the skin of my teeth, because there's some winch points and dead trees lying around, but not that many. But with a bit of jiggling around, goddamn horse managed to go in, get the radar trailer, get out of there, and carry on with my mission. The old loaf doesn't like to tap out. But yeah, I don't like that whole section at all, to be honest. It may well, Dan might even become a free range truck, just staying in that section. And as there's no garage on this, like, yeah, I mean, maybe at some point I could send a horse in. I could definitely rescue Dan, given enough time with the horse, but I had X amount of fuel on me. I'm obviously using fuel doing the radar trailer as well, and I was aware that the video, like the amount of time I've saving the footage and all that, I kind of knew I'd have to edit all that stuff out anyway, just to keep the video short enough. So yeah, for now I was happy to just abandon it. It's just a ridiculous area. It doesn't feel fun to drive around in, like I said. It just feels like it completely nails you and that's it. And the fact that I got like glitched onto a tree really didn't help the situation. But it worked out pretty nicely, because to be fair, at this point, as I hadn't come across a fuel station or any, like, say, fuel trailers lying around or anything, yeah, fuel was being depleted, and it was kind of handy, I suppose, just to transfer all the goods over to the loaf, and then he could set off on himself. Or by himself. Set off on himself. Sound like a euphemism. Get out, I'm setting on myself. I was tempted to go flying around in that sunflower field. He's got quite a good pace these days, the old horse, I think. It's quicker than, I'd probably say quicker than all the advanced special gearbox stuff. And he's already in like 5th gear at least out of 6, and about half a loaf length of setting off. So yeah, that'll do. Another radar, oh no, I do creep ahead a little bit. Fire another radar trailer off. That's when you know fuel's getting scarce, when I actually take the time to turn the loaf engine off, because not that it really makes much of a difference, especially just sat there and idle. He doesn't drink a lot, he just sips his fuel. So yeah, gonna try and see if I could get the top corner just done in like 1 radar hit. And there doesn't really seem like there's a hell of a lot going on along this side. When I just did the radar trailer, though, to be fair, I did uncover the gateway that goes from like this map institute to Heartlands. So if you did attempt to do this map and go from the Heartlands gateway, you'll equivalent to appear on like the middle right hand side of this map, with the way I've got it orientated anyway, which I believe I have got it orientated the right way. I'm pretty sure north was north kind of thing. I have for most maps. So one I remember that stands out was that Chimcharuski map, or whatever the bloody hell it was called. What was it? Chinokomensk. I always had that map like rotated the opposite way round. So back to this point, like, that was sort of the first major bridge that, yeah, ain't going to be getting fixed anytime soon. We're going nowhere near that bloody dead tree carcass. Well, to be fair, the Lo4f does actually go over them for the most part pretty easy, just for whatever reason. I know he's a goddamn horse, but he gets over like the rocks a piece of piss. The worst part of those trees that don't sod off once you've run over them is they've got like the roots on one end stick up to where the hitbox of the tree is like a T shape, and yeah, the roots completely now. Yeah, I think when I got caught in that river on a dead tree with a Dan, that was I basically drove onto the roots and that was kind of wedged on my axle, and it just wasn't letting me move like forward or reverse. It was on none of it. Lucky in a way that there was another winch point available, although if there wasn't, there's another reason to take the Lo4f. I could have jumped him out and then he's like a mobile winch point. So I was back here earlier, that's where I sort of drove in there and did a radar, and then I went back to like the left of me to go and get the third watchtower. So I already knew, just swerving off to the right, but I did it a little bit late. And yeah, you can see how boggy it gets pretty quickly. And as far as the bogginess goes, I don't mind, like, I'd be fine if it was one of those bits where it sort of makes you go a couple of miles an hour, because they've got quite a good balance overall on the map. But yeah, when it's just instant death really and you stop, it's just not the most fun to go on attempt, because you know you're just going to instantly checkmate yourself, so it's best to just skirt around everything if you can. Which kind of, as I was driving now, it suddenly dawned on me at some point, I was like, why the hell am I following the road? The goddamn horse, he can nip down the edges of pretty much anywhere. I'll go flying through the trees if I have to. Again, not a whole lot going on around here. There seems to be various farm buildings and all that, though, so I think, again, missions and contracts as I complete this phase, I assume a lot of these locations will be where you've got to drop stuff off or go to. Some kind of mission up ahead. And yeah, I was like, it's sod that little cut out there. Just about got to the corner, and there's not really anything I'm missing. So I thought I'll go down there. I spotted it, I was like, that is definitely a goddamn horse. I know a Lo4f when I see one. Got about, what, 150 odd of them scattered around the various maps. Which at this point, I've transferred some fuel to the radar trailer as well. But obviously that's eating 20 fuel each time I use it. Yeah, and I'm down to, is it like 8 or 9 litres on the Lo4f. But I had in mind at this point, because I've just seen the Lo4f up ahead, which must be like some kind of mission vehicle, I thought I could poach a bit of fuel off that if I need to. which, yeah, it was the plan. And I could have, to be fair. It'd be rude not to. Can't just drive past and leave a fellow professional laying on his side like that. But yeah, there's no roof rack on it, which kind of makes sense. It's only got 10 litres of fuel in it, and I was like, well, I can't do that to him. I can't rob his last 10 litres. So I had faith. So let's drop the hammer. Just got to get kind of over here, up the hill a little bit. And I don't really need to. I mean, I've 98% kind of uncovered the map at this point, but just for, again, professional pride. Matter of principle. Yeah, another little river crossing going on here. Again, looks pretty nice overall. Sort of a good feel with the map, other than the bottom right hand corner with the stupid death swamp. The old prototype trailer can be a bit of a anchor through those sort of sections. Although it would be nice if by now they added a newer, better gearbox to the Scouts. I really like AGL Angry Ginger Life. His 12-speed gearbox in the AGL Life. I really like that. It'd be pretty cool if they added that just to the normal game. And it'd make quite a lot of sense for the Scouts. I think overall it'd give them quite a nice pace. Because really, most of the Scouts in this game should be faster than the trucks, really, because you've got like the average, essentially a car, even if it's a pickup and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's going to outpace a truck. And then, yeah, just did a quick radar trailer. Again, not really a whole lot to uncover, but job's a good one. Victory Horn signs off on the deal. Yeah, there is the gift horse mission. I should go back to it in a sec. So that's the gateway I originally came from. This is like the bottom right. That's all the Death Swamp crap where the Dan got stuck. It's going up the right of the map, across the top, and then down the left. There's that river that I missed. Again, apologies for that. A little bit of footage. Done. Yeah, that's the gift horse mission, which I'm going to go and set off to now. I mean, it worked out pretty nicely. I think when I stopped, I had one fuel left or something. By the time I'd like filled the radar trailer up, but then there was still 10 litres in the radar trailer, so yoinked that back. I mean, the Lo4f's ability to time his fuel usage to within litres. One way or another, he gets it done. And yeah, this is the step pilot. Like I say, drive up to it, accept the mission, and then when you go into the details of it, you just got to fix it. Yeah, if I remember correctly, 521 points, and she's yours. And yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf, because you saved me bacon multiple times. And yeah, I'll be back soon.